hello, guys. It's V with the Think Yourself Better podcast. I am super excited to welcome you to another episode. You know that we do all things mindset here because we want you to think yourself better so that you can live your best life. I am super excited about this episode because I have a dear friend of mine. And listen, I think I'm kind of special because I have some extraordinary friends. I'm starting to realize that. And I want her, let me back up. I'm getting excited. First, let me say that this episode is called The Corporate Mean Girl Syndrome. So this is a really, it's going to be a good one, okay? And I'm going to have her introduce herself to you guys, and then we'll jump right in. Okay, so tell the people who you are.
Hi, everybody watching and listening in. My name is J. Christina. Some of you guys may know me as J. Red. I am the owner and founder of Radiant Aura Essentials. My hands are in a lot of areas of expertise. I have the honor of working in higher education, specifically in the HBCU bracket.
Yes.
I'm also dear to volunteering and working as a QMHP, which is a qualified mental health professional for the state of Texas, just to help our people get redirection and resources. And that's about it in a nutshell, under 30 seconds.
You good.
I did good.
You showing out? Okay, listen, now don't come on here trying to take over on the show. Now,
No, we're not
I'm just saying, ain't gonna be no mean. But listen, when we talked on the phone about you coming on to the show, and I said, okay, tell me, let me know if you have any ideas. You said, oh, yes, I do. And we talked about this mean girl, corporate mean girl thing, right? Not just corporate mean girls, but Black corporate mean girls.
Yes.
And we both have experience that in working in leadership and in dealing with other leaders and hearing people talk about it. We hear people talk about that. One of the biggest things you hear all the time women talk about at brunch and everything else is Black mean girls in corporate America, right? So I wanted to talk about that because it's kind of like this mean girl thing that leaves the playground and then, it goes all the way up to corporate America. And I was thinking to myself, I was coming up with the questions. I'm like, why is that? Why do you think that some Black women, show up as mean girls in the office, in leadership?
That is a deep question. There's a lot of layers to that. So I'm going to answer on the surface and then we can kind of do a deeper dive in certain areas.
I love it.
So I think a lot of that comes with not having the right development and direction. You know how it is when you're in different spaces. Everybody wants these titles, but they don't have an idea of all of the work, things that are that comes with it. You have to be a people person. You have to know people, understand what empathy means and looks like. It's more than just talking about it. It's really the action that's behind it. And I think it's a lack of really getting that proper training and development. The second part of where I think some of those challenges come from is understanding what emotional intelligence looks like and what it really is.
That's good.
That awareness. Your lifestyle may be totally different from the people that you're working with or you're leading. Okay, well, let's kind of see how we can work together because guess what? We're there for a reason. We're there to service or provide a service together. I think the third part of that is not knowing who that they are. And they may have so much pressure from maybe their community or their family. And they're like, oh, my baby girl's this, right? And they have responsibilities outside of that. And it's just a lot of ego that is in there as well. So I think those are the three areas of the why, but it does not stop there.
Right. And it's funny because one of the things that I thought about is I've kind of experienced that sometimes it's a thing of feeling like they have to prove that they deserve this role. And so that's a whole nother thing as well. It's like, okay, sometimes I kind of feel sorry for the mean girl that feels like, okay, I gotta be this way because I gotta be tough or I gotta be this or I gotta be that. I definitely agree with you that development is a huge part of it. But it's so funny because recently I worked a contract, right?
Okay.
I do a lot of like success coaching and things like that. And I got to work under the most amazing Black woman. And I remember sending her a message on Slack saying, "Hey, listen, I just want you to know that you are truly amazing. Like, I
Awesome.
have not had to deal with what we are always afraid of going into corporate America, even with a contract. This is still work, Like, hey, listen, I hope she's gonna be cool. I hope, oh Lord Jesus.
Anxiety is going up.
Yes. And she was amazing. She really was. But I started working with another corporate Black girl at that same office. Same. And there is this whole thing of, and I don't even know if it's like I gotta prove that I'm in charge. That's the experience that I had. And so I'm like, I wonder if that's a part of it too. Like I know that you never like can dissect. I'm always wondering why that is. And it's not a passive aggression.
Okay.
Because, we get that with the other folks.
Absolutely.
It's aggressive.
It's aggressive. And I think you said it right on the nutshell there. Feeling like they're in control and showing that they're in control. And that's not where it's at. Sis, calm down. Listening is also powerful. Learning your people is also powerful.
That's good.
Putting your people in spaces and areas that they really love. And then also being able to identify through listening, which is so powerful. Oh, they're lacking this. So let me put this person with this person so they can gel off of each other. There's so many different opportunities. But we can change the narrative. We can change the narrative.
I love it. So I know that you're just this ball of awesomeness, okay? But we've all had to kind of like work our ways up or work our way up, right? Have you ever experienced personally yourself dealing with the mean?
Oh, wow. Okay, so let me start here. I know that I'm different. And one of the things that my parents always taught me is to smile, be kind, and be respectful. I never strayed away from that. I worked in corporate America at a very young age in leadership at the age of 21, working in retail. I don't know if you remember New York. That right there was an amazing experience because I learned so much about analytics, customer service, how to truly lead, how to get the job done, working smarter and not harder. And so that developed another creativity side of me, just wanted to be hungry because I was put in these spaces, didn't know that it was a thing called spaces. I was put in these different spaces looking different from everybody else. So the question was like, oh, how old are you? How did you get this job, right? And so I had to learn how to have a pre-programmed answer, not discuss my age, discuss how I got there. We can work together, right? And then so when I was in that space, I didn't really have a lot of that internal mean girl syndrome because it was a different type of people, but it was coming from different customers. When I did get the opportunity to leverage my skill set and move to a whole nother state, big Houston, Texas, it was so mind opening for me that I learned a lot. Yes, it was, how did you get here? Who do you know? Don't mess up my stuff that has going on. And so it was like, I was just excited to work with you. Like, what do you mean? Okay. And so can I just be honest with you?
Yes, please.
I've been through it. I was working with some big people. I will never name them, working in different spaces from government on down. And I made an oath to myself and God, Lord, put me in position to never be a mean girl in this corporate space, in this leadership space, and the personal space. Because we all got things going on. But Lord, let me be available and be a vessel to just change it. And I was young. I probably was about 25, 26 when I started working for the city of Houston. And I learned so much about people. I learned so much about how to make things work. But I also made an oath to change it up. To not get discouraged. I also learned that's where the resilience was building up, the tenacity was building up, and I was just hungry for more and more knowledge, which opened other opportunities because I had to learn how to invest in myself.
Right.
You know, so I always encourage those individuals, especially young ladies who are interested in leadership, or even the young men that are interested in leadership. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Read books, have conversations, and be a change agent.
Be a change agent. I love that. I love that. In dealing with Mean Girls, how did you, when you had your experience with black mean girl in corporate America, how did you deal? What practices did you use?
That's a good one. Ooh, okay. I could start here. Having a relationship with God, breathing, taking a step back, learning, because maybe I would take it so personal. Learning, oh, you know what? That's not about me. There's something bigger than that. But it took me a long time to learn
to get there,
not to take it personal.
Yeah.
Another one of, I call it the tools of success. You have to have a mentor.
Oh, I love it.
It may not be so official, but you have to have someone that you look up to that is sound-minded, that can really talk from experience to help guide you, not to enable you, but to really guide you and empower you. You have to have that mentorship somewhere. What else? Find out what works for you to make you happy, just to take a little break here and there, and then reset and remember why you're there.
Right. That's good.
Who are you serving? You know, you cannot attach yourself to that job, but who are you serving? You have to kind of shift the mindset a little bit from, oh, I'm getting targeted. Oh, no, why are you there? Why are you being selected? Who are you serving? Who is really depending on you? If you don't show up for them, who was going to help them? And so if you shift it from that entity, it kind of helps empower you to kind of, okay, it's a whole new day.
Yeah.
Let's get it in. Let's get the job done.
I like to say, when you change the way you see things, the things you see change. So I am constantly having to remind myself of that because, like you said, I am a person, I take things personally, right? And I have to remind myself not to do that. And it's funny that you said that because it's one of my questions is, why do you think we take it so personal? Because listen,
Ooh.
Black men have challenges in corporate America, right? They're second guessed, all of these things. But I will say that I hear it more from my personal experience. I hear it more from us. Why do you think we take it so personal when we encounter a mean girl that looks like us in corporate America?
Ooh. Sometimes it could be because of our hearts. It's just so pure. And we visualize it working a certain way. And when it doesn't, our hearts just get all torn up and we're so discombobulated on, oh my God, I thought she would like me. Oh my God. And then when you're people pleasing, I think that also puts you in that set of like, oh my God, real vulnerable, sensitive. You know what I'm talking about?
No, you are right, because for me, and now listen, it's so funny because I ain't never ran from a fight. Okay? Ain't never been a people pleaser.
Well,
I can't listen, and fighting against life, fighting against folk.
Yes.
What you want to do, right? That's always been my attitude. But what I have realized and I had to admit is that I do desire to be liked. And so when I run into a mean girl, for me, it's like, dang, she doesn't like me, or what is it? Why doesn't she like me? I have to realize it's not about you. Like, take yourself out of it. Sometimes it's deeper than that. Sometimes I've realized that we are just so busy trying to be all the things that we forget to be nice. Now I have to admit, I've had to make myself like, okay, wait a minute, like, you're trying to make sure that you do this right, and you're trying to get the promotion or get the contract, extend, do this, that you're trying to be all the things and you're neglecting the nice part. And it doesn't hurt to be nice.
It goes
My husband has to remind me, say like, just breathe and give people the benefit of the doubt.
It goes a long way,
It goes a long way.
People remember how you make them feel.
And that is why I do my best now, because I don't know if I'm nice.
Okay. Cordial? You think you're cordial?
I'm cordial. But I realize I don't know if I'm a nice girl.
Okay, so define your definition of nice, because being cordial is being able to.
So this is good, because I wanted us to talk about the difference between accountability and aggressiveness, or just trying to, like, what's the difference in accountability and control, right?
Okay.
And so for me, sometimes I wonder, is being nice and kind the same as being, because I am a straight shooter, right? You've known me for years. I'm
very
now,
analytical,
right?
I get it.
I'm a straight shooter. What I'm shooting at you might not be what you want to hear, but it's going to be the truth.
Okay.
And so I found sometimes that people want you to soften things up for them. Like,
I get what you're saying.
Sweet.
With the piano music in the background.
Yeah.
The violin is playing.
Violin.
And it's a soloist on the mic at the same time.
Give us a key when you say it. And that's just not my personality.
Okay.
But I have learned, because one of the contracts that I work now, the total mindset and framework is to lead with care. I love that, because I care. Okay? If anyone knows me knows that I care.
Oh, absolutely.
But nice may not be the thing. Okay. So when we talked about this episode, it made me wonder, we talking about Mean Girls, are you one of them? And it's a question that, and I said, well, no, I don't
evaluating.
think I'm mean. I think that it can be taken that way sometimes.
Stern?
I'm
You're
stern.
And it could be.
And so how do we make sure that we're not making it seem like, or making someone, sitting in there like wallowing at home, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. You are always late. Your reports are not on time. You are, whatever. You could be a better employee, or, whatever. Where does accountability start and control stop?
That's a good one. Okay, so I'm hearing accountability. I'm also thinking, as you were talking, how do we coach people? Because when we're coaching people, we know that they have some strengths and there's some things they can work on, right? So one of the things that I love when we're in these uncomfortable conversations and we're coaching, let's make sure our body language is where it needs to be.
Very good.
Right?
Because I'll be having it.
Yeah. It's our body language is where it needs to be. Because maybe my face would tell you everything.
You're great though. You've always been great. You're great with your body language. You always are very mindful to manage your tone.
Working on it.
And see, even talking about coaching, like, and I'm playing devil's advocate, right? Like, coaches ain't always nice. Coaches make sure you get done what you're supposed to do, but coaches are not always nice. And so I think that it's really important, like you said, to really, really, really develop and train and understand that it's a better way to say some things.
Because sometimes you want to throw the phone at your team member. You're like, hold on, what's going on, right?
We've had this talk quite a few times.
We talked about this already. I could have sworn we were at the same meeting.
Now I feel like I'm playing with my game. Right. But I think that it's important to mind your tone. I think you do very well at that.
Thank you.
And to make sure that you understand that even though, like I like to say, I'm a straight shooter, you don't have to shoot it so strong. It could be soft. It could be a little bit more subtle, or you can think about how you're going to. I think thinking about the message and then who the message is going to be delivered to.
That part
is really, really, really important.
And you remember when I stated before, you got to know your people. If you really know your people and you're putting up the effort in knowing your people, you will lead with something that they like. Start with a conversation so both parties are comfortable. How's the family? What's new going on in your life? Okay, great. Well, I just want to have a conversation with you. Just want to make sure that we're touching you in the right way. We're meeting those goals. So what is happening in your area? Can you give me some feedback? how's everything going?
I love that. I love that. And I think that's awesome advice because for me, for years, I remember having a conversation with Tim, and I am like I have to, and then I expect that from my team.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
so knowing your team, but also understanding that everybody is not at the same level, and it doesn't mean that anybody is, not good. It just means I left a funeral and went on air. You know what I'm saying? I left the hospital and I worked while Buddy was in a coma. That's my son. I worked while he was in a coma, and so for me, the work has to be done. The body will be at the funeral home when you finish. And I'm just being really, because this is a safe space, right? Like literally, they're not gonna the hardest death I've ever dealt with was my mother. And that one shook me to my core. And even then I had to remember, like, listen, you cannot work yourself out of this. So I've had to be mindful that, first of all, you dealing with humans, cuckoo bird, and you have to know your people, know their strengths, know what they're going through, understand that everybody is not like you. And you can take that however you want to. Everybody is not like you, because for a lot of folk, that's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
You know what I'm saying? So to expect your team to show up in that way, I had to say to myself, so I feel like a lot of times in leadership, it takes true self-reflection too. It takes a lot of self-work to be able to lead other people, because you have a lot of things going on, but you really have to look at yourself and say, okay, you're being fair right now.
That part. And then also too, I think when we're in these leadership spaces, we are afraid to make these mistakes, and we want to blame it on other people. Right? And so a true leader sits back, reflects on what they can do better, and they say, you know what, I'll take one for the team. Team, this is what we need to start doing to change up the processes so we won't have this happen again. Right? That's a true leader. Versus saying, oh, Sally, why didn't you do this?
Right.
This is beyond where I was at. Right? So I think that is something that could help those that want to change, because I believe people can change their behavior over time, because no one is perfect, right? Just like how I explained to you, I come a long way. I used to take things personal. It was easy for me to go and take them earrings out right quick. What you talking about? You want to meet me at that
and I'll leave
you leave yours home,
girl.
But I come a long way, because it's like, okay, you know what? No, this is not what's up. Let me better myself. Let me learn.
Look at us growing and
glowing.
Growing and glowing.
Oh, yeah, I got a better one. Blooming, growing, and glowing. You see me, girl?
Now, you know what? You're so silly. Before we started, you and I were having a conversation before we were on camera, and you were talking about, oh, you've always been so supportive. You've always. And so for me, it was great to hear you say that, but it also reminds me that if we're talking about the two of us, right, I think that you've always, since the day I met you, been a super nice girl.
Oh,
that's been my experience. I've never experienced mean girl energy from you.
Okay.
And so to hear you say that you always felt supported and you always felt love, when I know I can be a mean girl.
Okay.
Made me say to myself, then so we should give each other grace. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's why I don't want this to feel like a beating up on Black women in corporate America episode, because I do not want to do that. And this is going to be a two-part question.
Okay.
If I find myself working under a corporate mean girl, how do I create those boundaries? What do I do? And then because nobody's perfect, if I'm realizing that maybe I'm a little bit of a mean girl, what can I do to be better? Because you can always be better.
Are we talking about the mean girl being better, or the girl that's wants to talk? Okay.
So we're talking about you're working with me, and you're dealing with me as a corporate mean girl. What boundaries do you have to set? And so many women are afraid to set boundaries at work.
Set boundaries, period.
Now that's a whole nother episode. Listen. Well, because we're afraid of losing our jobs. Okay, we got this good job now. Everything working out well. And I don't want to lose my job. And let's be frank, I don't want to have to hurt nobody either. I don't have to work no with this job, right? All everything involved in the one, right? So we're afraid to set boundaries. So first part is if you're talking to someone, if you're giving advice to someone who says I'm dealing with it, because it can become very stressful.
It can be very stressful.
How do we set boundaries? What do we do?
So let's start from the person working under the mean girl. Mm-hmm. I will empower them to take a breather, reset, remind themselves why they're there, and really look at I call it what's realistic, and remove the feelings out of it, right? Because sometimes we get our feelings bottled into it, and we may perceive things a certain way, but look at what really are the facts. Okay, these are the 3 things or the 2 things that I would like to see shift a little bit better so I could be empowered to come to work. Okay. I encourage the person to be able to advocate for themselves.
That's a good one. That's what I was waiting on.
You have to be able to advocate for themselves. And advocating for yourself does not mean, let me tell you, advocating for yourself is saying, hey, can I have a meeting with you? Just want to have a couple of words of discussion. The other week, I know I was responsible for this. This happened, but I just want to see how can we just change it up, because I am seeing that this is not a positive work environment. How can we work together? And, of course, the person has to process what has been presented to them, right? As you're having that discussion, you want to make sure you're not doing this.
Body
language has to be calm. Just be calm.
I love that. Okay, so as we come to a close, for this one, I want you to look into the camera. Okay. And because of the expert that you are, I want you to, if there's somebody saying, hey, listen, I think I may be a mean girl, talk to her. What can she do to think herself better, to be better, to come out of that?
Okay. Hey, mean girl. You can change your behavior over time, but you have to want to change your behavior through not making any excuses. We're going to put that behind us. We're going to also rebuke the monitoring spirit. We're going to put that behind us. We're going to sit down. We're going to do a self-reflection. We're going to take ourselves out of the picture of he say, she said, and we're going to work on ourselves first. We're going to invest in ourselves, and we're going to take accountability, because you can do it. You can change over time if you want to. Mean girl, throw it away and become a nice girl. And you could be a nice girl by setting boundaries, meaning what you say in a nice way. That's what I would tell a mean girl.
You gotta talk to the mean girl now. You got me. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Well, you got to come back and back and back and back. I truly enjoy every conversation I have with you. And our conversations, y'all, are like this over the phone. She is just the sweetest thing ever. Thank you guys so much. We got to go. I know you don't want us to, but you can connect with us and don't miss the next episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you. Bye. That was